With high stakes and increasingly sophisticated attackers, energy industry leaders are looking for solutions to more frequent cybersecurity threats. How is artificial intelligence and machine learning being harnessed to stay ahead of these attacks, protecting energy grids and their interconnected systems? Dr. Milos is a professor with the Computer Science Department at Virginia Commonwealth University. He is the director of the VCU Cybersecurity Center, and Professor Manic conducts research in the areas of machine learning, software-defined networks, and human-machine interfaces. Dr. Manic, thank you so much for taking some time for us today.
Thank you for having me.
That shutdown of the major U.S. pipeline, which is actually responsible for nearly half of the East Coast petroleum supply last spring, really brought the issue into sharp focus. But this is not a new war. You call these ongoing attempts to infiltrate the power grid and efforts to prevent them an underground war of many years. Tell us about that.
I do. It is not a new war. It's been going on probably since the inception of internet to begin with. Underground may or may not be the right word, but it's definitely the set of activities that are not widely publicized or known or published. And that is naturally, of course, because all sides want to keep it that way. Attribution or assigning attribution or the who actually started and did what is not something that either side wants to disclose at any time during the battle. Now, but the good thing here is that some of our agencies are very, very, very experienced and very good. And they do know the consequences of certain activities on a world scene, whether it's political, economical, or other activities. They can predict where the threat will come from ahead of time, and we want to keep it that way. The problem is that the other side, the nefarious actors, never sleep. Now, the good thing is that still U.S. is still leading in a commitment to cybersecurity. We have some top researchers working in this field in both government, industry, and academic world. Now, when it comes to our nation, what makes us strong is that the federal assets that are widely watched and protected by U.S. government. But there is a number of critical infrastructures that are run by industry, and this is where approaches differ. Industry typically looks at cybersecurity in terms of overall profit, and that can be a problem. Cybersecurity is more than often overlooked and considered as afterthought. So the real goal, as one of the CIA agents stated when Colonial Pipeline incident happened, this needs to be a combination of both stick and a carrot. There must be some rewards associated with introduction of better cybersecurity measures. And this is the tricky part when it comes to industry.
Well, we have to ask, who are these perpetrators? What's the motivation to take on critical infrastructure in the energy sector? Is it about sabotage, espionage, or is it all about the cash?
Well, all of the above, and depends. When we talk about critical infrastructures, we typically think of so-called nation-state actors. These nation-state actors aggressively target and try to maintain this advanced persistent threat when it comes to public and private sector networks. The reasons vary. It could be to compromise, to steal information, to destroy information, or to change information. And this is what's happening recently now. Very interestingly, in the past, it was about stealing information and selling it to the highest bidder. But now the game is changing, and the idea is becoming ruin the reputation of, for example, industrial entity. So it's about showing that the industrial entity is vulnerable, threatening to publicize those vulnerabilities or publicize the information retrieved. And that's a dramatic change because it's very difficult to deal with this kind of problems.
Well, you've completed more than 40 research grants in the area of data mining and machine learning as it applies to cybersecurity, infrastructure protection, energy security. What are the most vulnerable targets right now? And what are the potential consequences if we're not able to prevent these attacks?
That's a $1 million question. Uh, I will not talk about most vulnerable targets for various reasons, but I will point out to one of the critical infrastructures that comes to mind first, and is widely recognized as the most important one, and that's power grid. We can only go so long without power. Yes, batteries will get us through intermittent problems. Um, Generators will take us through perhaps minutes or hours, but they only go so far. And you don't have to go and look far for critical thinking when it comes to problems like this. I was just walking the other day, and I saw a house which had a charger for electric vehicle in front on the driveway, and I thought, how cool. But then I kept on walking, and I saw external generator just a few feet away. And that made me think, oh, I'm in part of the town that whenever there is a storm, they lose power. So they will have a generator because they will keep that house going, right? Cool or heated. But then how long can you power your electric vehicle if you do not have power? So think about, we need to be thinking critically about resilience, about interdependencies, because one critical infrastructure affects another, and another affects another. And this is the tricky part, the interdependencies. When you lose power, the next thing we start thinking of is water. Then there's one aspect that a lot of people don't think about, but that's wastewater. If you don't have electricity, you can still keep on working without computer for a while. If you don't have water, you can bring water and drinkable water. You can get away with that for a certain number of hours. But think about bathrooms. If you can't go to a bathroom, you're leaving that building. The little things, that seemingly little things, are things that will make a difference. Now think about a government building where you cannot afford employees to leave, and what will make them leave. We need to be thinking about interdependencies. We need to be adopting this critical type of thinking.
Well, a good defense is a strong offense, and you and a team of experts developed a protection system that gets more effective as it watches and learns from those trying to break into the grid. So tell us how the Autonomic Intelligence cyber sensor was inspired by the body's own nervous system and how it adapts on the fly as attacks are being attempted.
So this is very interesting. About 15 plus years ago, when I started working in this field, a lot of people have some inherent distrust when it comes to AI or machine learning and cybersecurity. Fast forward to today, and we might be actually taking a back seat when it comes to cyber war. We're actually at a point where looking at intelligent agents fighting, and we are just hoping for the best for our intelligent agents, something similar to robot wars. This started with, as it usually does, with several students in academic setup with ideas of handling different types of operations, different types of activities, but different levels of intelligence. And this is a concept that goes back to robotics. We as humans have something that's called the reflex, and we do not need our brain, our most powerful control system, to deal with reflex. And then we have our brains that are dealing with more strategic type of thinking. The same thing we adopted for the way we call it ISIS, Autonomic Intelligence Cyber Sensor. This work started 10 or maybe 10 plus years ago. In the meantime, we won several awards. We won so-called 2018 Far West Federal Laboratory Consortium. 300 plus federal labs compete. We won a 2018 award for that at that time. And then we won a 2018 R&D 100 award. And this one is very interesting because R&D award refers to 100 top inventions in the world, around the world that year. And those inventions do not have to be software. It can be anything from a product, a process, or material. So that speaks to how important that invention was. That after that, DHS S&T actually chose it for commercialization, and it's being commercialized as a product and running in certain critical infrastructures.
Congratulations on those awards. As you say, it really speaks to the effectiveness of the system that's been developed. So once the system is installed, it functions like a nervous system for a power grid, sort of silently monitoring all of its components for unusual activity and learning to spot threats that were unknown when it was first installed. Is that how it's functioning?
So the great advantage of AI systems is what by definition AI is, and that is the ability to learn. This is a very powerful concept, and as anything powerful, we need to be very careful with it. Once you give the complex system ability to learn, you have to recognize that that system can learn good things and bad things. It can now the issues of correctness, ethics, morality, and all kinds of issues that we're trying to deal when it comes to AI today come in mind. But at that time, we started with technologies that were popular at that time. The good thing is we continue working, and we have orders of magnitude even more powerful technologies that we are deploying today. So all is good, and it's a wildly and aggressively moving field, and it's very, very exciting to be in this field. I will mention a couple of areas or directions that larger US agencies are opening calls for proposals for in recent years. One of the interesting arenas that we work in is physics-informed, data-driven learning. And the idea is that you always had people that worked with first order formula type of modeling, and then you had people that are data-driven people or data science or AI. But these two do not necessarily talk or understand what each side is talking about. So in recent years, a great push is to get these to talk together. Another one is uncertainty estimation, uncertainty propagation. This is almost evergreen topic, and it's never going away. Another very recent topic, a very exciting topic, is in the past we had so-called supervised type of learning. Supervised type of learning is when you know what you should expect from the system, but that is associated with cost of so-called labeling the data. In other words, you need to pay an expert to tell you what the outcome of the system should be. We are collecting such incredible amounts of data that we cannot afford to label them anymore. So now we are trying to use unsupervised type of techniques to do the work at the level of quality of supervised. And this is a very exciting arena. Another arena we are working on is extraction of features of the system that matter. In other words, if you have a system that, for a car, for example, the input could be a gas pedal, and you're using a steering wheel, and the output could be the speed, right? Those are the first that come in mind. But for autonomous vehicles, there's a number of others. To make a fast and correct decision, you need to focus on those features that matter. And that goes to another very popular, very hot topic recently, which is trust in AI. One of the aspects of trust in AI is, can you explain what AI agent has done? And we, using intelligent devices these days, we become very quickly complacent. We trust our smartwatches, we trust our iPads, we trust even our cars to make a decision, but we do not always understand what they're doing and why. If we understood what features these algorithms are looking at, we will be able to understand what they're doing, and we'll be able to trust them more. And that's where we are going with.
In sharing your insights, you can't help but feel a sense of optimism. What's your prediction for the future? Are you optimistic about winning the war in cyberspace?
So optimism is a little bit of subjective, a little bit of point of view um, um, word. Um, you can choose to see the glass half empty or half full. Um, I do, however, choose to trust our experts in industry, in government, in academia to maintain the leadership when it comes to this a new world of AI and cybersecurity. These are very good people, and I choose to believe that the things will continue that way.
Well, the stakes are indeed high. Dr. Manic, we thank you so much for taking some time for NewsPoint 360 today to share your insights and your perspectives.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.